Surgical failures. They live here. Too many implants and facelifts over the years. Their muscles turn to jello. The only way they survive is to have fresh body parts transplanted over and over again. Oh my God.
How's that?
The Surgeon General of Beverly Hills.
These are no good. You couldn't give them away. And this, I can do nothing with this one. Yeah, I'll wheel it away.
You heard what the man said. Get rid of it.
I can't work with garbage like this. Now these two, they look very good. My God, they're real. What a beautiful blue eye. Shame he only has one. Nurse? Still. One eye is better than none.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Have you ever been in an institution? Cells.
Cells.
Do they keep you in a cell? Cells.
Cells.
When you're not performing your duties, do they keep you in a little box? Cells.
This causes it. This causes it. This causes it. Information overload. All the electronics around you poisoning the airwaves.
You are listening to the High Tech Low Life podcast, a cyberpunk media retrospective. High Tech Low Life contains language and themes not suitable for all audiences, as well as spoilers for the content being covered. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the High Tech Low Life podcast with your hosts Eric and Josh. Call me Eric. Call me Josh.
This week we are watching the sequel to John Carpenter's Escape from New York, entitled John Carpenter's Escape from L.A. And man, what a movie.
It absolutely fills all of the requirements to be called a movie.
It does. Multiple genres of movie, in fact. It could be mini movies.
Yes.
Excited to get into it. It's a weird one, but not going to dive in just yet. We gotta tantalize you first with a bunch of stuff you're not here to hear about, or are you? Maybe you are.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe people love us just for our fucking hot pop culture and dystopia takes.
Maybe we should just do a news podcast.
Oh boy,
that would be sad.
I don't think I could handle that, man.
No.
I got enough shit going on in my life.
Yeah, I don't. Talking about it for 10 minutes a week is bad enough.
Yeah.
Well, and then all the discourse online about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of, I guess now no time like 1 minute into the show to talk about something super depressing. You got any world news?
Oh, yeah, I certainly did. Yeah, it's gone. I mean, I think it was literally this morning that I thought, oh, I need to bring that up on the podcast, but I did not. I just really don't want to make another fucking Google document like I have for all of the shit that I've watched and read in the past year.
Yeah, for bad news.
Bad news. Yeah, I cannot think that pulling that up is ever going to make me feel anything positive or even neutral.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even know why we still do it.
It feels like we really should. How about this? Apparently the Neuralink implant, the creator of the dead monkey pile,
yes,
has been a while back, we mentioned it on the show, implanted in a human. And apparently since then, it has been malfunctioning. Seriously.
Yeah, I've heard
No-
something about that, but didn't look into it too deep.
There aren't any details about how it has been malfunctioning, but it has been malfunctioning. So
Oh God.
just imagine having something in your brain making you do and think things, and it's malfunctioning.
That is
Yeah,
next level horror stuff. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure there's been horror type movies about that situation before, probably dozens of them, but
Oh yeah.
hearing about it in real life is a lot scarier.
I mean, what was that? What was that movie from the 80s? It had the clockwork monkey on. Monkey Shines.
Oh,
A
yeah.
guy
I was
who's
fucking terrified of monkeys.
guy
Not
who's
even because of the movie, because of the trailer.
a guy who's quadra or paraplegic, I think, gets a trained monkey to help him, and the monkey has a brain implant and turns evil.
Well, monkeys will do that.
Yeah.
You pretty much just don't want one in your house ever.
Yeah. As a rule, I mean, it's always seemed like a terrible idea. I mean, I've seen Nope.
Yeah. God, yes. That is a legitimately horrifying scene in Nope. Maybe the only like truly scary one in that movie.
It really is. I rewatched that a couple of weeks ago, and man, I want to talk about that movie a whole bunch. Like, it's not anything that goes anywhere near our series, but god damn it. I forgot to mute my phone, and I'm getting the calendar notifications for the call that started 10 minutes ago.
It's time to start the podcast, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, Nope like doesn't have a lot of truly scary moments other than the monkey scene, but it has a lot of eerie it's all vibes, and they're immaculate for what I look for in a movie like that.
Yeah, and I just I think I love the hell out of, like, Get Out was an amazing fucking picture. I really liked Us. Like, I just think Nope is such a weird and interesting movie that has so many fucking ideas in it.
I agree.
I mean, it's just like, look, I mean, I can talk about those other movies and about how cool they are and the ideas they have. And Nope, it's just like every conversation is recursive. But then, what about this angle on it?
When I was a kid, man, I used to, as all kids probably did, stare at the clouds and wonder what was hiding in them.
Yeah.
It like really harnesses that childhood thing very well.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, there's this mini monkey horror show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's truly nightmarish.
But a lot of people don't like that movie. I've seen a lot of negative stuff about it online, and I've never understood it.
Yeah, I think honestly, based on, and like I said, I watched it, I don't know, last week or the week before, I think. And I was spurred to rewatch it by seeing a thread on the Blankies subreddit where somebody said, I just can't wrap my head around Nope. And it was one of the most interesting Reddit threads I have ever fucking seen.
Really?
Where it's a whole bunch of people who think about movies a bunch, contributing, like, you know, TLDR reads of the movie in response to this guy. And everybody, tons of people have different reads on it, and they all like can make sense. And then there are a bunch of people who are like, I don't know, I just didn't think it was as good as Get Out. So I think the answer, the reason that, and this might be me being a fucking elitist prick, but I think the reason that as many people don't like it is because it's not as simple as Get Out in a thematic level.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go digging for what the fuck the movie is saying. And I mean,
I honestly don't even know why someone has to compare the two. Like, I fucking love Get Out almost as much as Nope. I did love Nope a little bit more.
Yeah.
But they're like, you know, neck and neck.
Yeah, they're both fucking great movies.
And I don't know why you need to compare one to the other when, you know, criticizing them individually.
Well,
I mean, I guess everybody does that. And
writer director.
I know, but they're different movies. They're not even like in the same series or anything, unless he's building a cinematic universe I don't know about.
Which I'd be into, sure.
Sure, I'm absolutely.
Yeah. Give me the fucking give me the jean jacket monster eating Bradley Whitford. I'm into it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, now I'm really please, Jordan Peele, do this. And just like rope Key and Peele into this universe too.
Fuck yeah. Fucking Gremlins 2 show up.
Yeah. Or the guy who like comes eating the continental breakfast, probably my favorite Key and Peele character.
That's a good one. We see Jean Jacket from space and the guys from the, and I said, bitch. Skid are watching from the space station.
Should we have done a Key and Peele podcast? Probably.
Honestly, as often as that show comes up.
It really has been recently a lot.
Like,
they did a really good job, and we'll move on very shortly.
Yes,
they did a really good job post the show, keeping it at the forefront of everybody's minds on social media. Like, it always pops up on TikTok. It always pops up on YouTube. It pops up on all the social media sites, and they always feel fresh. Like, even if you look, I was just like watching through them on YouTube, and the upload dates were only like a few weeks ago. They're just
really
refreshing uploads, so it always looks new.
Yeah.
And like, not long after the show went off the air, I'm like, are they just uploading YouTube sketches?
Entire show? Yeah.
Or just like doing single sketches and putting them on YouTube, which they weren't. I'm just an idiot, but it felt that way. And I just think they've done a really good job of keeping that show in people's brains.
Well, and I mean, I very specifically have loved a bunch of, in our lifetimes, there have been a bunch of really good sketch shows.
Yes.
But I think maybe Key and Peele is, I can make the argument that Key and Peele is the best one, because not only, like, okay, Kids in the Hall is
a tough fight.
Is fucking hilarious. Monty Python, fucking hilarious. The State, fucking hilarious. Key and Peele, fucking hilarious. But also,
usually for me, it's the last one I watched, which I watched a Whitest Kids You Know sketch right before we got on this call. So that's forefront of my mind too.
Unlike the vast majority of the other really great sketch shows, they're also have content. Like, they're saying something.
True.
And that like, I don't remember when Key and Peele went off the air. I mean, it's got to be nearly 10 years ago. Every bit of that I've seen has remained fucking timely.
Yeah.
Like, it's true. The politics are still like valid and understandable from a modern perspective.
It's a good program. Check it out. That's recommendo number one.
Yeah, recommendo number one, Key and Peele. We've never recommended it before. Shut up.
Yeah. Recommendo number two, I've started, and so I can't give it the full recommendo. I'm not going to talk about it every week because it's releasing weekly, which is infuriating. But I started watching Dark Matter on the Apple streaming one. And 3 episodes have come out, and I've quite liked them.
Oh, okay. I haven't started that one yet.
As a little... There are flaws, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of annoying cliches that they like filmmaking cliches where, one thing I've been noticing lately that I really hate is when somebody walks into the street and they're not particularly paying attention. You're like, all right, they're going to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
And then, like, why are people still doing that? It's not a surprise anymore. Plus, it's not accurate because I've stood on the side of a street. You can fucking hear traffic. There's no silence, and then all of a sudden, headlights and dead.
Yeah, I love it, especially when they walk out into the street, not noticing anything, and then it's the sound of very loud semi with horn that hits them.
Or bus, like the loudest vehicle on the road. And I've seen people get hit by a car on the internet. It doesn't happen like they turn and go, duh, and then get hit. They always are trying to dodge, and then like usually just get their bottom half run over, and it's horrible.
It's bad. Yeah,
but I don't know. Let's just stop with that. That doesn't take away from that how Dark Matter is good. I don't even know if that happens. That's just one that came to mind. But let's not do that anymore.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, you got one?
I do. I've got a couple of recommendos. One, I'm going to repeat your recommendo from like 2 months ago, probably. Okay. I saw Godzilla -1.
No, that wasn't mine. I've never seen that.
Oh, it is fucking cool.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
I
think that's why you think it was, because like 8 million people recommended it when it came out.
Yeah, it is fucking cool. I highly recommend that to everybody. Go into it understanding that you're going to have to read subtitles because it's a Japanese Godzilla movie. And boy, it is a
I think
good.
most people listening to this show are probably going to be okay with subtitles.
I mean, I would assume so.
I mean, I don't want to say everybody.
I just want people to be aware of it, because I mean, I've done that, like sit down to watch something and then be like, I'm not that into paying 100% attention tonight. I got to eat dinner and shit.
Yeah, it's hard to eat and watch subtitled
Yeah.
shows. I still do it, but it is frustrating.
Yeah.
And there's also, not to be the wokerati over here, but there's an ableism aspect of subtitles too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so Godzilla -1 is fucking badass and highly, highly recommended. Yeah, I think that's the end of that one. Do you have another?
Nah.
Okay, I do, and
Okay.
it directly ties to the film that we watched for this episode.
So
it'll
this
be
is a segue and a recommend. A recommend way.
Yes, exactly.
A segwamendo. Oh, I like that better.
Ooh, we should write that down.
Okay.
Okay, so I watched John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA, which was a live Netflix event.
Okay.
Or events, quote marks.
Combines two things I'm not a big fan of. John Mulaney in LA.
Yeah. It is a talk show done live in LA with John Mulaney as the host and Richard Kind as his co-host, which is the thing that made me watch it.
Okay.
It is it's a absurd comedy thing. Based around the Netflix is a Joke festival that they had, where like every comedian in the Western world was in LA doing shows for like a week or so.
Yeah, I think I've seen clips of this.
Yeah, you probably have. And every episode covered a different like aspect of LA. Like one episode was coyotes, and another was palm trees, earthquakes,
Wait, the wild dogs or the shuffling you across the border guys?
Yeah, the wild dogs.
Okay.
Because they're a big deal in LA.
Which not a small deal here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with ignoring them. But yeah.
We both have dogs that could probably take one in a fight.
Also true. Yeah, it's very funny, like, if you listen to LA-based podcasts and, like, just how divorced from the reality of being in the country and nature these people are. They're like, I saw a coyote, I had to run away. Like, bitch, you outweigh it by, like, 170 pounds. It will never come anywhere near you.
As dogs go, they aren't even big.
No, they aren't big.
They're like small dogs.
Yeah, or threatening. I mean,
they're just
doing their best out there.
Yeah.
Like,
that is funny though.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a pretty funny show, and one of the guests on, I think it was the last episode, was John Carpenter, director of Escape from L.A.
I thought the tie-in was just going to be L.A., but no, you doubled it up.
I did. Yes.
I may have seen clips of this too, actually, now that you mention it. Was he a good guest?
Yeah, I mean, he's fucking John Carpenter being John Carpenter. I mean, the dude is a legend. Doesn't give a shit about anything unless you put a check in his hand.
Right.
He just wants to fucking watch basketball and play video games.
Fair.
Yeah.
Same, except switch basketball for baseball, and I'm right there.
Yeah.
Before we get into John Carpenter and Escape from L.A.,
mm-hmm.
What's the deal with John Mulaney?
I don't know.
He's like very popular, and I don't get me wrong. He's talented. He has funny jokes. I just don't understand like the cult of personality around it.
I don't really get it either. I have enjoyed a number of things he's done. Primarily the like the bits he did on Kroll Show, like Too Much Tuna.
Sure.
I've seen one of his stand-up comedy specials, and it was funny. I think he just has a really specific, I hate to say it, but brand and personality that a lot of people have latched onto. And I mean, he is very funny. I should probably go back and watch his other comedy specials.
Yeah, I've always felt that way too. But like, remember a couple years ago when he cheated on his wife or something? And it was like all anybody was talking about. And A comedian cheated on his wife. People, this happens
Yeah,
all the time. Why is this
yeah,
one?
he cheated on his wife and fucking relapsed and went to rehab for coke.
Yeah,
That's like a Thursday for most comedians.
Yeah, that literally does a week go by that a comedian that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like sorry comedians, but you guys need to get your shit together.
So I think there is a weird, like, I think there's a weird sort of backlash to that, and also parasocial relationship thing where
Maybe the parasocial, yeah.
where people were like, oh, pretty gross that he cheated on his wife with Olivia Wilde. I mean, that's fucked up.
Did he have like a pretty public marriage? Maybe.
I think he had a moderately public one. And then a bunch of people who were his fans were like, oh, "Fuck you, he's the coolest guy ever," kind of that type
the
of thing.
usual internet thing.
Yeah, I think that's it, but I don't know. I'm not enough inside or caring enough to know.
I guess I just always, anytime a comedian like blows up to superstar status, it's always curious to me. Like, and usually I can spot why. Like Dane Cook, he was.
Oh yeah,
people hated him, but I see why he was popular.
Yeah,
he was a good looking guy who had animated and act goofy. Like, and same with
he said things with the rhythm of jokes. I mean, and like. And that'll take you a long fucking way, apparently. But
it does hit a wall, as we've learned. I didn't see what it was with Mulaney, but
yeah,
I don't have any hate for him. I just kind of got tired of hearing about him for a while.
And also, I think, unlike a lot of people, neither you nor I are on record as giving a shit about Saturday Night Live in the past, I don't know, quarter century or so.
Yeah, I'll watch highlights on YouTube once in a while, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he got real big there.
Okay.
I mean,
like as a guest or as a writer?
He was a writer and on the cast.
He was?
Yeah, he was on with the same time that like Bill Hader was, and
oh wow,
yeah, and he was what was the fucking name? He had at least one major Weekend Update character that I can't remember the name of.
Totally missed that bit of pop culture.
Yeah, see, I think, yeah.
Maybe that had something to do with it. Anyway, we got to get the fuck on the road here.
Yes.
Oh, before, one more quick thing. We need to talk about our upcoming schedule because we're going to have an episode for you next week. And then after that, we're going to take several weeks off. We don't have to list it out. I think it's going to be 3 at least.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. Because Josh is going away. He's abandoning you. He's abandoning his boy.
I am.
And that's fine because, absence makes the heart grow fonder. We're not going away forever.
And also, I need to make money.
Yeah, he's got to.
I have to pay rent and buy food.
And, help the human race by discovering old shit. That's your job description, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I got to go out. I got to get out there and scan so my spank bank can be refilled for the next week or for the next year.
Oh, God.
That's an Astronomica.
It is.
reference.
It is. If you didn't catch it, though, it's weird sounding.
It certainly is.
These fossils, they're doing this old pottery.
Fuck pottery. That's too recent.
Okay.
Pottery's for chumps.
Anyway, so yeah, we're probably gonna take a month off, and then we'll have a couple episodes, and then we'll have a few more weeks off, and it's gonna be a spotty summer, is what we're saying.
Yeah, we're really sorry, but again, we have to abandon our multiple shows of vaunted consistency.
Yeah, but it has kind of become the norm for us the last several summers, so I think hopefully people understand, and if not, well,
go screw.
Go listen to the Johnny in a Minute show.
Yeah, go back in time. We've got 129 episodes or something of that.
Yeah, and apparently the first 5 are nowhere to be seen except for on our actual Libsyn page, so that sucks.
Why that is, no one knows. It's a mystery.
Makes no sense.
Yep.
Anyway, that's going forward. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about Escape from LA.
Yes.
Deep breath. Okay, where are we? 24 minutes in. That was a long one, but oh well.
Oh, okay. Well, I honestly thought it would be longer. How'd you like the movie?
Man, I don't know. I can say 100% that I was not bored and that I had a good time watching it.
Yeah.
So that's a strike in its favor.
Yeah.
I can also say that it's pretty bad.
Thin?
Thin. It seems to be almost like it's like a cover of Escape from New York almost. Like
it's the Evil Dead 2 remake theory or sequel theory.
Yes, a lot of the same beats hit with a different skin. With some just insane shit added in. And I remember we were talking about Escape from New York, how slow it was, how like little action there was. And this, not so much in Escape from LA. There's a lot of unnecessary action scenes.
Yeah. I think watching this movie and Escape from New York are really fucking interesting in terms of like understanding how art is made and how constraints can lend a huge amount of value.
Absolutely true. God, it is so strange because it feels like a parody of Escape from New York. It feels like almost. I mean, there are no jokes or gags in it necessarily, but yet it kind of feels like the whole thing is a joke.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I watched this in the theater.
Oh, wow.
In I don't know, what was that, fucking July 1996 or something like that.
Yeah. Also, this is like, I mean, it's the year after the year of cyberpunk.
Yeah, but this is our hot like couple of years here.
Right.
I watched this in the theater, and then I know I saw it at least on fucking VHS. I don't even know. I assume it got a fucking DVD release. Just
Probably.
because
Everything
the
did.
John Carpenter and Kurt Russell always recorded fucking commentary tracks together, and they were always fun.
I'm sure this one would be great.
Yeah. But I'm certain I haven't seen it in 25 years. And my memories of this movie, up until yesterday when I watched it, were exactly correct. Like, I remembered walking out of the theater going like, that was Escape from New York, but not as good.
No.
And like it
with a lot of LA references shoehorned in.
It's a kind of baffling experience to watch it. You're just like, I know all of this, and yet Escape from New York is one of the great masterpieces of all time.
I mean, couldn't disagree with that. So
this is so decidedly not.
Once again, a lot of fun. Like,
yeah, and like there are so many things in this movie that immediately push it up. Like, you know, fucking Steve Buscemi shows up, Pam Grier. I mean, this movie is full of. I mean, Kurt Russell, you know, talking in a fucking gruff voice with an eye patch. You know,
yeah,
like
that's all I need.
Just in like, if you
Stacy Keach being Stacy Keach, is that his name?
Yeah, that's correct.
Second time on our show.
If you just do the raw math of it, you're like, oh, Peter Fonda, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, Peter Fonda's awesome.
If you just do the raw math, like half the people in this movie, you look at them and you go, oh, well, Steve Buscemi, I mean, if he's in a movie that adds an instant star every time he's on screen doing anything.
Yeah.
And like,
you always got to remember, though, he was in all the Sandler movies in the 90s, too. But
well, to be fair, his
funny
parts
in them.
were very funny in those.
Yeah, he was very funny in those movies.
But like, there's so much. You look at the raw math of it, like, oh, this movie has fucking Steve Buscemi, Pam Grier, Kurt Russell. Like, this has to, like, the floor for this movie is about 3 stars out of 5. But then you watch the movie and you're like, how did this manage to be a 2-star movie?
Yeah. No, it seems like it would take work. John Carpenter,
Bruce Campbell, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It seems like it would be difficult for it to turn out like it did, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a filmmaker.
It's a truly, like, I think there's a really I think there's a really interesting conversation to be had about this movie, about how Hollywood works.
Part of-
and
Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
and how creative instinct works.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if it had been made, I don't know, 5-8 years later with better CGI, or 5-8 years earlier with no CGI.
Yeah.
Would it have been better? Like, part of me thinks like that bad CGI really hurts it.
It does damage that people who did not live through the mid 90s would not believe.
Yeah. Like, I think back once again to Johnny Mnemonic, our flagship thing, which had the same technology, and its CGI was bad, but like it made it mesh with the world it was building.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because
yeah,
it was all done inside the Matrix, and that's what the Matrix is supposed to look like.
Yeah, they didn't use the CGI for the real world.
Right, and that's where this movie failed horribly.
It also cost $15 million less than this.
Johnny Mnemonic did? Holy shit.
Yeah, I think, if I remember right, Johnny Mnemonic cost 35, I think. Maybe it was 40.
It's fresh in my mind because my YouTube algorithm just popped up the Zoom call between Robert Longo, Keanu Reeves, and William Gibson. Yeah. And I was watching that earlier, and man, that show ended just a little too early.
It really did.
Because now I really want to watch the black and white version.
Well, I've got it here at my fucking apartment on Blu-ray.
We got to do a Patreon where we just watch that.
This movie cost $50 million. And domestic and Canada made 26.
Wow.
It's
damn. Even that's surprising. I feel like,
I wonder what else came out at this time.
It's a good question. If only there was a worldwide network of computers that we could look on and figure it out.
I'm literally looking at it right now. Okay, release dates. I'm
just going to Google, see if Google is shitified more than IMDb. It took me to Box Office Mojo.
Yes.
And let's see, there's a lot of movies that came out in August of 96. Looks like the number one grossing is A Time to Kill.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's a Bond movie.
No.
Independence Day.
A Time to Kill is the Sam Jackson, Matthew McConaughey legal thriller where Sam Jackson kills some Klan members who raped his daughter, and it had the line in it that will live forever in our hearts. Yes, they deserve to die. I hope they burn in hell.
Okay. All right. I guess I haven't seen that. Independence Day is number 2, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, that came out a fucking month ago.
July 3rd.
Yeah.
Let's see. Escape from LA. It's actually the 6th highest grossing in August.
Ooh, boy, that's fucking rough for an opening weekend, though.
Yeah. Matilda beat it. Tin Cup.
That was the Don Johnson.
That was Costner.
Was it? Okay. Cheech Marin was in it. I remember that.
Courage Under Fire, Phenomenon, Chain Reaction.
Oh, Chain Reaction. That was the Keanu Morgan Freeman film.
Yeah, it had a bad weekend.
Yeah, it did not do well. Nope. Okay, so Escape from LA. It is a remake of Escape from New York.
Basically, yeah.
It has, like, if at any point, like, say, I skip over something in my plot recap, just assume that, just insert a plot point from Escape from New York and you'll be fine. You'll understand the whole thing. I'll tell you where all the parallel characters are. I mean, they're so very easy to spot.
I kept watching it being like, maybe if I'd been separated by 15 years, like if I'd seen Escape from New York in the theater, 15 years later I saw Escape from LA. Having just watched it a few months ago, though, it's the same plot.
It is. I remember when this came out. I remember I specifically watched it with my dad at the theater in Hutchinson, and the day before, we rented Escape from New York on VHS. And I remember this really specifically because it was the VHS where I can't remember if it was the beginning or the end of the movie, it had the cut scene of the Cleveland heist in it. And John Carpenter doing some commentary over it, which And like, so I had literally just watched it the day before.
Baffling seeing this when it's brand new, having just watched. Yeah, your brain must be like, what is this?
And I mean, I had seen it before then, but just like the direct contrast of the two, where you're like, oh, dude, what the?
It is like an Evil Dead 2 situation.
Except the difference is, Evil Dead 2 is the improvement.
Yeah, it really is. Huh.
Yeah, it's truly a mystifying scenario.
Let's see how quickly we can recap a movie that we've basically already recapped.
Yeah, that we already did, and we watched, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Okay, so the movie starts with green scan lines and the Escape from New York theme.
Not as good, though.
Yes, Carpenter got a somewhat better synth and knocked it up tempo a bit, and it's not as vibey.
No, it's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, this is certainly much more like a song or something.
Yeah.
Where the
also much more 90s.
Yeah, where the Escape from New York theme is like, I don't know, a score. I mean, you don't have to be doing something every second.
Right.
You know. Notably, this movie is, as far as I'm aware, Kurt Russell's only fucking writing credit to this day.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. Written by Carpenter, Deborah Hill, Carpenter's ex-wife, who wrote Escape from New York as well and is a producer on the movie, and Kurt Russell. Yeah.
Not a high mark on his IMDb page, I'm guessing.
Nah, probably not. So we come to the female narrator. Again, it is Jamie Lee Curtis, uncredited.
I didn't recognize that.
Yeah. In the late 20th century, hostile forces inside the United States grow strong. If only. The city of Los Angeles is ravaged by crime and immorality. To protect and defend its citizens, the United States Police Force is formed. A presidential candidate predicts a millennium earthquake will destroy L.A. in divine retribution. And then we have a clip of Uncle Ben from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Yep. Oh God, that's what he's from. The whole time it's bugging me.
Yeah. Cliff Robertson, he had a like 70-year long career,
but he's Uncle
he
Ben
is most recognizable as Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
And he's like doing a Jerry Falwell thing about how like a mighty fist of God, Armageddon, Los Angeles, Sodom and Gomorrah, whatever. And then an earthquake measuring 9.6 on the Richter scale hits at 12:59, August 23rd in the year 2000. Then things go on for a while. The Constitution's been amended. He's now president for life. The capital's moved to his hometown.
Oh, right. I forgot about it.
Yeah, Los Angeles Island is declared no longer part of the U.S.
It's like a free city.
Yeah, and is the deportation point for all people found undesirable or unfit to live in the new moral America.
So this is a good point to stop and talk about the dystopia of Escape from LA, which has been significantly updated from Escape from New York. And I feel, we'll cover it in our prescience rating, but I feel much closer to reality than Escape from New York.
Yeah. The inclusion of the religious right angle on the whole thing really makes it swing for the fucking fences.
The religious right was just an up and coming thing in '82, and obviously it's in the '90s. It's still up and coming.
Yeah,
but it's much more prevalent, and they, to their credit, they had no problem going after it. But I guess it's a problem I have with the movie. I don't know. It's such a fucking Gen X movie, man, because the politicians are bad, but you know what? The revolutionaries, they're also bad. Only the individual badasses walking the streets are capable of having any morality. Just pick a fucking side, please, guys.
Well, I think a part of that is Kurt Russell, who has always been pretty fucking libertarian. He's definitely not into, the right, because he wants to fucking smoke dope and fuck Goldie Hawn.
Sure. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
Us?
exactly. But he also wants to like have cool guns.
Yeah, and you definitely see that later in the movie where
Yeah.
they're like, we're not free here. We can't smoke and shoot guns. It's like, and also, we're working ourselves to death, and the oppressed people have a boot on their neck. Yeah, but sure, there's the guns and the cursing. All right.
I think, given, having watched the guy for 35 years in interviews and read interviews and stuff, I think Carpenter's politics are substantially more left than this movie would necessarily make you think. But he's constrained by what makes for cool action scenes and how often you need to have action scenes.
Yeah.
It
starts in the beginning like they're gonna say something cool, like combining the powers of the third world countries. Are like,
fuck yeah,
let's do this. And the president's daughter, Utopia, she's like, she's kind of based.
Yeah, she is kind of based, and fucking Cuervo Jones is definitely Shay-maxing.
He definitely is, and he's
totally
maybe
Shay-pilled.
My favorite name in movies.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
There are no bad names in a Escape from Blank movie. That's
yeah, there really aren't. So
it's like all Shadowrun names.
It really is, and that's one of those things where you look at it and go, like with Blade Runner, is this one of the things that defined cool names to me?
Yeah.
Or are they just cool names? Like with chicken egg? I don't know.
What was Map to the Star? What was Steve Buscemi's character's name?
Map to the Stars, Eddie.
Yeah. Which you'll
he's
not be surprised to hear is my favorite character.
He is a half step from Fast Eddie.
Yeah. Oh boy, there's definitely some delightful things in this movie.
There really are. I mean, every time you're going, Jesus fucking Christ, then something happens and you're like, okay, I'm kind of back on board. And even we're way early to talk about it, but since you brought it up, even the, just the way Kurt Russell can deliver the cynical fucking snake dialogue.
Yeah.
He makes fucking jokes that I consider fairly horrible, but just he says them like this, and I'm on board somehow.
Oh, God damn it, Kurt Russell! Why do we love you so much?
Because of Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
I mean, Captain Ron was my childhood attachment.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so if you get in trouble in the U.S. for moral crimes, you are deported to this island of the damned and never come back. Ba-da-da. So it's exactly the same setup as Escape from New York, except it's not just regular criminals, it's moral criminals.
Yeah. And I felt like there's an element like it wasn't a prison because you could leave it and go to Mexico. They say that at some point later on.
Yeah.
And I think people could come there freely. They just couldn't leave and go to mainland United States.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like basically, I mean, the same setup as New York. There's a big, there's a fucking bay. It's an island. There's a big fucking wall.
Yeah.
Except there are no bridges.
Honestly, a more logical reason to have a city cut off from a nation than Escape from New York, which was like, let's turn the biggest metropolitan hub in the United States into a prison for some reason.
Yeah. Well, New York was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so bad they had to go to St. Louis to shoot it.
And then Rudy Giuliani came along.
Yeah.
Great hero.
Great hero.
I'm sorry, I haven't been looking at the news since 2015. He's still a great hero, right?
Yeah. He really, he let us laugh again on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that man. Thank God.
Yeah. What a hero.
Anyway.
Anywho. Okay, so now the year is 2013. We get a zoom in on Firebase 7 on the edge of the LA, I don't know, the wall against LA and the sea, I guess.
Yeah.
And there is already some deeply fucking sketchy CGI
Yeah.
where there's like a highway sign that they CGI'd San Fernando Valley on, and it's like at the wrong aspect ratio. It's one of those, the
Yeah.
instant you see it, you're like, oh, I can tell by the pixels.
Right. There's a lot of that.
It really is. Apparently, the studio that did the CGI for this movie, they put in a bid where, compared to a number of other studios, I think it was Buena Vista Special Effects, and they had done a bunch of like modeling and, you know, previous special effects stuff for movies. They had never done CGI before, but they put in a bid with a really cool fucking demo reel. And because of studio politics and production politics, they ended up coming in as the winner. And nobody knew, well, at least nobody on the movie end of it knew until after shooting was done that they had put something like 100,000 man hours into this 50-second demo reel, where the whole bid, like for the whole fucking movie, was going to be like barely twice as long. I mean, in terms of labor.
Yeah.
So that's why the CGI is so terrible.
And that makes sense. I also think they were just constrained by the technology of the time. They were trying to do things that you couldn't do yet.
Yeah, and like the type of things that you could do if you threw literally a whole country's economy at.
Right, like Titanic. Titanic had some insane CGI a year later, but Titanic's had a Titanic budget. It didn't have a John Carpenter budget. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, and John Carpenter has said like, oh yeah, had I had any idea what was going to happen with it, I could have had somebody knock together miniatures and matte paintings for half the cost and twice the visual quality.
Yeah, and it would have been, God, it would have been so much better. Like, I feel like this would be a cult classic if, I think the CGI really holds it back from.
If this had come out in 87, without CGI and stuff, it'd be a classic. Yeah.
Even same everything else.
Yeah.
Just like practical effects instead of CGI. I think that's the one thing that makes it go from, good, bad movie to just cheeseball. It looks so fucking cheeseball. Yeah. I think that's what holds Johnny Mnemonic back too, obviously. I think a lot of people, dumb people, can't look past the bad 3D dolphin. I would disagree with them, but I just think that was a thing at the time.
Yeah. I mean, you just had to have fucking CGI and shit. That's just how it was the marker of, hey, we're doing special effects. It's the mid 90s. You have to have CG.
Fucking Lawnmower Man.
Oh boy. We're going to have to cover that eventually.
I know
and
we are.
The sequel. Yeah. Job's War. Anyway.
Do it next week if you want.
Honestly, I've heard worse ideas.
Those rare on the fly.
Yeah, just change it up last minute.
I'm not opposed. We can talk about it when we take a break.
Yeah. Okay, so we fly into this camp following a helicopter. Turns out that Snake Plissken is on this helicopter. He was arrested for gunfighting for profit in New Vegas, Thailand, U.S. territory.
I love everything about that.
Convicted of over 27 moral crimes. And he, quote, just looks so retro, like the 20th century. He's in exactly the same outfit that he spent the entirety of Escape from New York in. And he's just looking at everybody like they're shit on his shoes.
Yep.
We got Stacy Keach, who is the Lee Van Cleef character.
Not pulling it off. Sorry, Stacy Keach.
Yeah, well, it's Stacy Keach is doing fucking fine.
Yeah, he's just got to fill Lee Van Cleef's shoes.
Yeah, how do you fucking beat Lee Van Cleef with that fucking earring, man? It's impossible.
I know, and he was especially good in Escape from. There was something about him and Kurt Russell in Escape from New York that was
just
magnetizing.
I mean, Stacy Keach is fucking great. I mean, I have seen him in so many goddamn things, and he makes the most of what he has in nearly everything. But, Lee Van Cleef in Escape from New York is just like, you see, oh, this is the motherfucker who faced down Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And even if Stacy Keach might have done so, he didn't do it so well as Angel Eyes.
Stacy Keach, was he class of 99? What?
Class of 99, along with
Pam Grier.
Pam Grier. It's a reunion.
It is a reunion.
Yeah.
Wait, when was that movie? Was that a 93 or 4?
I feel like it was 91, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. That was 90. It was an 80s 90s movie because it started in the 80s and finished in the 90s.
Yeah, that's right. Because that was the first Nine Inch Nails on a score.
Yeah. Go check out our class of 1999 episode. It was very fun.
Yeah, it really was. More so than we expected it to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got Stacy Keach being Lee Van Cleef and Michelle Forbes being, I don't know, a cop.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, she's been in a million things. You've seen her 100 times.
My wife recognized her from True Blood. She was a weird shapeshifter lady thing.
Yeah, she was on True Blood. She's been on Star Trek's. I don't know.
Stars Trek, I believe is.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, you're right. Like attorneys general.
Yeah.
And then we get walked to the office. We get a cool speech from Stacy Keach about how all these people, this big line of people being deported are prostitutes, atheists, runaways. We're throwing out the trash. We're throwing out the trash, Pliskin.
I love how atheists were... Yeah, sorry. I stepped on.
Yeah, it's okay. He says, call me Snake 9,000 times.
Yeah, like it was popular in the first movie, so if we do it 10 times more.
And it is pretty funny. Like it does that thing where it goes from like, okay, this is funny. Okay, this stopped being funny. And then eventually it wraps around.
It starts being funny again.
To being funny again. And then the very end of the movie, he twists it.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
It's always good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Now, you definitely get this this growing dystopia sense of atheists and runaways.
Yeah. Those two things aren't bad.
Yeah. So we're walking in this office and like some weird fucking lady is staring at Snake as he's walking down the hall, and like she scratches his hand or something, and we hear some cool announcements about how, again, if you want to just kill yourself now rather than be deported to the island, you can do that.
Yeah, it was a throwback. Except for this one, you could repent first.
Yes, you have to repent first.
And then you'll get sent to the electric chair.
So he's tossed into a fucking concrete room with like a computer monitor and a giant watch in it. And shockingly, he's being offered a fucking deal by Stacy Keach.
Wow, how unique.
Yeah, shockingly. Stacy Keach has a garage door opener with a little Johnny Mnemonic disc in it.
Yeah.
That throws a hologram. And it turns out that Rayanne from My So-Called Life / the Countess of Devon, that's a true thing, look it up, stole a super weapon from a lab and then hijacked Air Force One. She's the daughter of the president.
Right.
The escape pod landed in L.A. They sent a team after her, and it turns out they all dead, except for maybe one. We don't know. And she apparently fell in love with Cuervo Jones while in VR. Cuervo Jones is the, as I said, Shaymaxing, revolution-pilled.
You've really bumped up your Gen Z slang. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
We got to stay cutting edge here.
Yeah, exactly. Cuervo Jones is part of the Shining Path, which, FYI, is a real, or was, they're less of a concern now, Peruvian communist group, like mostly like 70s, 80s, a bit into the 90s. A lot of their leaders have been shot since then.
Yeah.
So basically, she has given, or at least they think she's given Cuervo Jones the super weapon, which we do not define what the super weapon is yet.
No, and it ends up being kind of dumb, but just go ahead.
It's pretty awesome for 1996.
I guess.
It
turns the lights off.
Yeah. And shockingly, Snake will be pardoned if he goes in, saves the super weapon, and of course kills the president's daughter because, she's betrayed him.
President Uncle Ben is a bloodthirsty maniac who doesn't care.
He is.
He said, we can't stand another long treason trial, so just make sure she doesn't make it.
Yeah. And why will he do this? Because, he's a fucking dick who doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. Oh, because they've got this threat of the Plutoxin 7 virus, which will make you bleed out your asshole until you die. And he's like, who's going to inject me? And because he's going to then threaten them. Yeah. But it turns out this lady in the corridor scratched him with it. Holy fuck. No. He's already trapped. And then he tries to beat him up, but they're holograms.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. So he's
the fact that they do it 3 times.
I know.
Snake tries to kill them. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a good bit. It is a good bit that I am glad pops up at the end of the movie.
Well, yeah. I mean, imagine you're a Shadowrun character going into this. Of course you're going to try to kill these people.
Yeah, obviously.
And it's also funny how Stacy Keach is just like, yeah, we thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we gave you... The first magazine is full of blanks, you idiots.
That's my favorite. He just unloads.
Yeah. It is... Actually, that is the thing. Snake Plissken is the worst / most common Shadowrun character.
Yes.
He is just, I've got a cool name and an overcoat and I talk like this and I only give a fuck about myself.
Well, once again, in this movie, he is just Dystopia Ash from Evil Dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Not so much in the first movie. In the first movie, he was, a smart character. In this one, he's all reputation, but he's just kind of a dumb shit.
I thought he'd be taller.
I guess when you get a rep to a certain point, you can just kind of coast on it.
Yeah.
God, he would get along so well with Rutger Hauer in Split Second, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, either that or they'd explode each other, just within proximity.
Yeah.
Okay, so we then get to the gearing up scene. I always love a fucking gearing up scene.
Oh, yeah.
He gets a fucking cool mouth dart and a tracker watch thing, which also times how long he's got until the Plutoxin 7 kills him. A hologram projector camera thing, which is the same thing they were using. And some stealth clothes to make him look cool in 1990s.
Did they say they're fireproof too?
I think so.
Well, it never came into play.
Yeah. And some matches, just regular stick matches.
Right.
Which do come into play.
Yes. You never know when you're going to need some stick matches. I guess so. I feel like a Bic lighter is more useful, but sure.
Yeah, whatever. So then we get a nice dressing up all sexy scene. And we are again, the entire audience is struck with the thought of, how does that snake tail terminate?
Just like we had in the first movie.
Yes, exactly like the first movie. Where does that tail go?
Where'd that tail go?
Yeah.
I did want to point out, Kurt Russell is in very good shape. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
He looks great. But that body would not pass today's blockbuster action movie standards.
Not even slightly.
Not even close.
I think, let me see. I think the math works out. I think he's our age when he shoots this movie. Okay,
40,
so
mid-40s?
Yeah, he's born 51, so he's 45. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is exactly my age.
Yeah. And his body is substantially better than mine, but it would not pass today's muster at all.
No, even like a Paul Rudd Ant-Man's not pulling... Which
Certainly
I feel like...
not.
Well, yeah, this has been talked to death online. People comparing Indiana Jones to current day leading men and what they have to do to themselves. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just something I noticed. The important thing is the snake and where the tail ends.
Yeah, exactly. So we also get a little bit of backup, and Snake, quote, meets the president. And we find out that the third world is all united against the United States.
Cool.
And they might be planning a strike. Ooh, spooky. So he's got to take this stealth submarine in and then back out of LA.
Sounds familiar, only it's underwater instead of in the air.
Yeah, and he gets in the sub, and he's got 8 hours on the fucking clock on his watch. We're going to keep getting updates on that.
Yeah, constantly.
This is the point at which the sketchy CG goes from sketchy to fucking dog dick. I don't know.
Like bad PC video game that comes in like 8 discs in a booklet when you buy it in 1995, and you're constantly having to switch. That's the type of CG we're looking at.
Yeah, and the thing is, the scene is really interesting because it is a direct 1-to-1 with Escape from New York, where he takes the glider into the city.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the interior shots of both the sub and when he was in the glider. And they're almost exactly the same. I mean, and those all work great. But the glider, all the exterior shots in the original are fucking matte paintings and miniatures and models and shit. Whereas in this one, all the exterior shots are fucking CG, and it is dog shit.
Yeah.
Even though the glider is, theoretically a much slower and more graceful vehicle, there is way more tension in how the glider, the exterior of the glider goes, than there is in this fucking CGI dog shit of this redlining super stealth submarine thingamajig. It's mystifying.
And you can't even really tell what's happening. Like when he launches it out of the water, it's confusing what he's doing, what he's attempting to do, and he drives through a building at one point, and I don't know. Man, the technology, he had so much less technology in 82, and it looked so much better.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I mean, some of that you have to go, well, John Carpenter had no fucking idea because this wasn't done until, all the CGI wasn't finished until 2 weeks before the movie came out. On the other hand, boy.
Well, there are certain things that even practical effects can't do.
Yeah.
Just tossing it out here, say maybe surfing a tsunami down the LA River. So we'll see. Maybe
that'll be better. Yeah. It's kind of impressive how there is just less tension in the sub than there was with the glider.
Yeah, I liked what they tried to do where he was redlining it and there was like, slow the fuck down, Snake. He's like, I'm dying, you go slow, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool, but it's also like it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
It saved him 30 seconds.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
And so then he lands the sub on this part of a freeway that then collapses in the water and the sub's lost. Don't worry about it. It's definitely not important.
Yeah.
And then he meets Peter Fonda, being Peter Fonda and a surfer. And Peter Fonda's like, hey, man, get the fuck off our beach, dude. And you look kind of familiar, man. And then one of my favorite lines of the film, thanks for not killing me, man. I owe you one.
Yeah.
Oh, and also this is, I think, the second occurrence of, I thought you'd be taller.
Oh God, Peter Fonda's just fan. His face, is it sunburn? I think it's sunburn because he's probably surfing.
acid rain and sunburn. Yeah.
Yeah. They talk about the UV index or something, and he's probably out surfing in the sun, and it's
Yeah.
It's
Peter Fonda's fun in this movie. I mean, the whole concept of it is deeply fucking stupid.
Yeah, deeply.
But
every character in this movie is awesome.
Yeah, on the same level that was it The Postman, where Kevin Costner's like, you used to be somebody. And Tom Petty's like, yeah, once upon a time, now I'm just the governor. Whatever the fuck it was.
Postman would be another good Patreon movie. Man, we got so many Patreon movies to do at this point.
Yeah. Um, so Peter Fonda vaguely directs him to where he's supposed to go. Like, hey, you got to head that way. And then we get this cool street scene, which is like a carnival of whores. And like burning trash barrels and shit. And there's a Tool song in the background, and you're like, whatever.
This is when you're like, oh yeah, this ain't the 80s anymore. We're listening to Tool, baby.
Yeah.
We're fully in the 90s.
Yeah, we really are. And he tracks down the remaining tracker from the rescue team. And it's another like watch thing. And it turns out this dude's been crucified and murdered by skinheads. So then there's a minor shootout with skinheads. Don't worry about it.
I like that Snake's charisma and social skills are effectively zero, because he could have, pretended to be cool with these guys. That they just wanted to, like, hey man, you want to throw some knives at this dude? You could have participated, maybe got some info, but no, he's Snake.
He's Snake. He doesn't do that. And also, we learned that inflation has apparently hit hard in LA because it's like $10,000 a throw or something.
Yeah, something like that. But there were gold greenbacks and bluebacks.
There were greenbacks and bluebacks.
Yeah.
We learn at the end.
What a blueback equates to, like 1 million greenbacks, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Who can say? So then he goes into this basically the same. He momentarily enters basically the same theater that he was in New York, where he met Cabby.
Oh yeah.
And like then he leaves again.
Scene for scene, the same movie.
It's honestly impressive.
Like so much so that it's not unintentional.
Yeah. It's very intentional. This is very much the Evil Dead 2 series of sequels. Like, you made a low budget film, look at what worked about it, and then do that some more.
With a high budget.
Except in this instance, it did not work.
Yeah, it didn't.
So then he heads back out he gets directions from a sex worker that says he needs to go out to Sunset to find Cuervo Jones, who's going to be doing a parade soon. And he heads back out on the street and like steps over the door from Cabby's taxi from the first movie. And you're like, hey, Cabby, cool. And we learn there's 7 hours on the clock. Tick, tick. So parade goes by. It's Cuervo Jones and the president's daughter.
How dare you say Jose? Jose does not in his name.
No, it is not.
It's implied. It's silent.
Yeah. It's Cuervo Jones and the president's daughter leading this parade, and he's announcing that everybody needs to go to the Happy Kingdom because, shockingly, Disney wouldn't give them the rights to use Magic Kingdom in Anaheim for staging of the invasion.
The whole movie is just an endless parade of LA references. I was surprised the tar pits didn't get tossed in there somehow.
Oh, you're right. God,
it's like the only one I think they missed, and it would have been fun.
About the only one, yeah. Because I mean, even in like the fucking sub scene, he's driving through fucking Universal Studios, and an actual shark lunges out where the shark would on the tour.
Fucking bad.
It's deeply
the
bad
low
CGI.
point of the bad CGI. Yeah.
He crashes through the Universal Towers. Which was specific on Carpenter's part because I had a lot of fights with those executives. I'd like to crash something through their offices because he's John Carpenter and he doesn't give a shit at all.
DGAF.
Yeah. So then there's an extremely low energy motorcycle chase where Caruso knocks a guy off a bike.
Like a classic train chase than a motorcycle chase.
It really, like, I do not know what makes it so low energy. I don't know what other movie it was that we watched on this show where I was saying I would love to get a director or something on to discuss why this doesn't work.
Yeah.
But this chase scene is like, and then, like it's lower energy than driving to school in class of 1999.
That was pretty high energy drive to school.
Yeah. And Cuervo thinks he recognizes him. Hey, is that Snake Plissken? He used to be a major gunfighter. And then the chase ends. He wrecks his motorcycle. He gets captured. Snake gets captured by like 4 dudes. And then he tells him, why don't we do a Bangkok rules gunfight?
So stupid.
Where he throws a can up in the air and nobody's allowed to draw until the can lands.
And they all follow the rules like good little boys.
Yeah, so he tosses it up in the air, immediately draws and shoots all 4 of them dead before the can ever.
This is also where I started noticing that the score was turning very Western in the background.
Yeah.
Like they were really pushing the Western angle at this point.
Yeah, I think that's... I did not have a note about that, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But then the movie takes a turn for the better. Snake walks down the street, sees a little hut, and suddenly Steve Buscemi enters. The movie immediately gains an extra star.
Oh, it does.
He is playing a scumbag, fucking fast-talking Hollywood agent maps to the stars guy. In a silly hat and shiny suit. And this is kind of... I didn't actually look at his IMDb, but I feel like this is the very beginning of Steve Buscemi taking these like really small roles in big Hollywood films, like these supporting roles, as opposed to like prior to this, he'd mostly been in just independent shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the 90s were a whole thing for Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, I mean this is looking at his IMDb. That is kind of it. This is about the inflection point where he goes from like roles in independent films to supporting in like big action movies and shit like that. Because it was a couple of years later that he was in Armageddon and The Wedding Singer and stuff like that. Apparently, he took this role specifically to fund his directorial debut, Trees Lounge, 1997. Very good movie. Pretty fucking depressing.
Yeah.
About a alcoholic guy. Just an alcoholic out in Long Island. Good movie. Haven't seen it for 25 years, but so he's fucking great. And oh yeah, it turns out that he sells these maps to the stars.
Which are really recorded voice tours?
Yes. Which like you would get these days in an app,
right?
At a, at a museum or zoo or something.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah. And it's exactly the same garage door opener as the super weapon control that we saw earlier. So don't worry about that. It's only $50K for the star map.
Yeah, cheap.
It's a huge bargain. Huge bargain. And Snake tells him to fuck off. And then walks on past a sign that says he's entering Beverly Hills and a, quote, surgical zone.
Love it.
Which, very funny. There's a bunch of chaos on the street. He hides in some bushes right next to Valeria Golino, who Eric and I, at least, know from many things.
Yeah. I love her. I know initially Hot Shots, obviously. And then also recently...
All up in the belly button?
Yes, yeah. I was definitely in love with her as a teen boy watching those movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was also on The Morning Show recently, which is a show I watched last year.
I saw that credit on her IMDb, yeah.
She's an interesting character. Steve Carell holds up with her during COVID.
Oh.
And yeah, I like her. I love her. She's fantastic. And she's good in this movie.
Yeah, she was also in Big Top Pee-wee.
Oh, yeah, she was in Big Top.
Yeah, and... Portrait of a Lady on Fire from, 10 years ago?
Rain Man.
Saw that? Oh, Rain Man. Yeah, sure. Yeah, she's a good actress. I don't think she's had the American career she probably deserved because...
No, but she's got some big-ass credits.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. So she is the Adrienne Barbeau equivalent, if you remember, from Escape from New York. Oh, yeah, and just because I didn't mention it very specifically... Steve Buscemi is a melding of the Cabby character and the Harry Dean Stanton character. from
True.
Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Although part of Harry Dean Stanton is spun off into Pam Grier.
True.
So Snake is hiding in the bushes with Valeria Galino. And then they're suddenly ambushed by these people in these big black robes.
I gotta check. What's her name in this movie? Oh, Teslima? That's kind of lame. Everybody else has like Shadowrun names. And...
Yeah. Then they get ambushed. And they're taken hostage into a plastic surgery disaster basement in the bottom of the Beverly Hills Hotel. And we see our hero, who has been on the podcast before, and I'm certain will be again, Bruce Campbell, being a true nightmare.
He's not been on our proper podcast. He's been on
no, not really
on our Patreon episodes.
Everybody in a support role in this scene, which is a dungeon / surgical suite, is the worst examples of plastic surgery from the 1990s. And Bruce Campbell is absolutely no exception. It's emphasized his jaw, plucked his eyebrows, visible hair plugs. It's truly a nightmarish looking scenario.
I mean, God damn it, it's not unrealistic though.
It isn't.
They kind of nailed. This was such a short scene, but they were not far off with the way things have kind of gone.
Yeah, everybody in the scene has had their buccal fat removed. Bruce Campbell is the Surgeon General of Beverly Hills. And apparently, this is from the IMDb trivia, when Kurt Russell met Campbell on set, the first thing he asked him to say was "workshed" out loud. Campbell's line in Evil Dead 2, when Ash is bitten in the hand. That line had been dubbed in and stood out comically, so Russell wanted to hear Campbell say it live.
That's very weird.
Which is absolutely true, because if you recall that, he gets bit on the hand and goes, "Workshed."
I need to rewatch it.
And he goes out to the workshed and cuts off his hand.
When you think about it, like,
because his hand turned.
It went bad. Bruce Campbell could have been Kurt Russell if a few things had gone differently.
He very much could have. I mean, Bruce Campbell is
really a coming together of giants in this scene.
Yeah, it really is, and it's fucking beautiful because Kurt Russell is just dealing with this monster staring at him, and Bruce Campbell is just chewing the goddamn scenery.
Apparently, this character has become a Reddit meme. My wife was pointing out, like,
really?
I think to like make fun of bad plastic surgery or something. She's in a different Reddit than me.
Yeah,
but, yeah. She got excited when I said I was watching this. She's like, "Is that the one with Bruce Campbell?" And she's not like a big Bruce Campbell person. So, yeah.
Anyway. Why would she be? She has never been a late teen boy.
In the 90s specifically, yes.
Yeah. Bruce Campbell delivers some great fucking lines about, like, he's checking out both Valeria Galino and Snake, and he's like, oh, they're real.
Yeah, he's feeling her breasts.
Yeah.
And commenting on Snake's beautiful blue eye. Too bad there's only one of them.
What a beautiful blue eye. Shame there's only one. Oh, well.
It's so short, but I wish it was longer.
Really, I would watch an entire movie of this nonsense. And you see Snake prepping the mouth dart that we'd established earlier, and he blows it out and, like, drugs Bruce Campbell between the eyes with a little dart. It's very fun.
I love that he doesn't kill the Surgeon General. He just knocks him out. So they were leaving room if a sequel's ever made.
Yeah,
Bruce is coming back.
Yeah. So he darts him to the forehead, gets him to release Valeria or Teslima, and they escape into the sewer. And now he's got 5 hours on the fucking timer.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. And sadly, Bruce Campbell leaves the film.
Yeah, I was kept expecting the return, but
yeah, you'd think maybe he'd pop back up at the end, but oh well. So They finally get out of the sewers. Apparently she used to use it for drug running, blah, blah, blah.
We can definitely skip over any sewer scenes because they just drag the movie down.
Yeah. And also we've seen superior sewer scenes in Split Second.
Definitely. Yes.
So he leaves her to go into Korean dragon territory, which is very dangerous.
Yeah.
He's walking down the freeway. It's all post-apocalyptic with like wrecked cars. Apparently 200 wrecked cars they purchased for this.
That's Blues Brothers 2000 numbers.
Yeah. And like rubble and fire and shit like that. And then it turns out a few minutes later that she followed him, and she explains why she's here and how, I was a Muslim in South Dakota, and then all of a sudden it was a crime. So again, we get that religious right.
A little bit of social commentary happening.
Little bit. And she, has this big monologue about how, you could go south to Mexico or whatever, but LA is still really where it's happening. And once you get used to it, it's not so bad. And then she is immediately shot.
It's so sad.
It's exactly in the Vietnam movie where somebody shows a picture of his girlfriend and says, I only got one more week, man. Then I'm heading home and getting married.
Yeah.
Then she's immediately shot by some Korean guys in a really cool 49 Merc lead sled. I mean, it's all flamed out and shit.
Yeah, it's nice.
Beautiful. And he's got 410 on the timer. Ba-boom.
This does seem to affect him. He's like, she was one of the good ones.
Yeah.
The Italians, I mean.
Yes. And then, so he's getting shot at in this drive-by by just fucking randos. And then suddenly Eddie arrives. Really
Eddie always pops up at
exactly
very convenient times.
Yeah. He has a beautiful 59 Cadillac. I mean, just convertible. It's sexy. Sexy as hell.
Love it, yeah.
And takes off, and then he uses a taser full of drugs in the steering wheel knob that fires out of the out of the glove compartment.
Love it.
Which is pure mesh, which I would say is maybe one of the best things since Skin. Bring us back to class of 1999.
That was coming. That's just going to become a running joke on the show, and we're just going to have to get used to it.
Yeah. Audience, you have to deal with this.
Anytime a drug comes up, it's going to be the best since Skin.
I mean, unless it's worse than Skin.
Yeah, true.
So then he's captured again. It turns out that this is actually Cuervo's car that he lets Eddie borrow sometimes, and Eddie thinks this could be a great fucking scenario. He'll be an agent and represent both Snake and Cuervo. I mean, it could work out best for everybody.
Love a sleazeball playing both sides.
Yeah,
always rooting for him.
Yeah, he's God, and Buscemi's so good at it.
He is. He really is.
I mean, just as a fast talking piece of shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's captured again. Now he's in the basement somewhere. I think it's the USC Coliseum. I don't know. And we get an explanation of the super weapon finally, by an actor named Leland Orser. I don't remember his character's name. He has been in a million things, especially in the mid 90s. He was in Seven. He was in Alien Resurrection. He's the tech dude. And he explains that this thing controls these cool fucking satellites that basically do EMP bursts and can be incredibly directed. So they can knock out the power to something as small as a taxi cab in Buenos Aires to the entirety of France or something.
By the way, his character name is Test Tube.
Test Tube, sure. Why not? Guy's a really good actor. And played a very specific set of roles.
Yeah, really, he did. He was really typecast into this one weird kind of cat type. I don't know.
Yeah, he is really great in Alien Resurrection. I mean,
he is. That's what I recognize him from mainly.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically. Oh, and also to activate the satellites, you got to enter 666, the world code. Don't worry about it. That's definitely not going to come into play. Basically, the threat is that Cuervo Jones could use these satellites to disable the United States to allow the third world nations to take over.
Right.
And they stick Snake on a treadmill because, I don't know.
Actually, I like that idea. If I've ever got a captive and a treadmill,
Yeah, I mean,
it keeps them busy. It's hard for them to focus on escaping when they got to keep walking all the time.
You're not wrong. It's not explained at all. I mean,
I just think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think Cuervo Jones is just a smart guy.
Yeah.
So smart that he has people play basketball not even basketball, like play horse with themselves to the death.
Yes. So then Cuervo has a press conference with Utopia standing by. And he broadcasts to the nation like, look, I've got this fucking super weapon. The government had better send a fucking chopper to me to get evac'd from LA at 5 a.m. And just so you know, I'm good on this threat. He goes ahead and blacks out the Capitol.
Lynchburg, was it? It was some
Lynchburg, Virginia.
Virginia,
yeah. And the president is cut off of the phone from his wife. It's very sad. And then Cuervo makes some very gross sexist comments. Yeah.
At this point, was that sexist comment? Or I'm like, okay, he's probably not like a good revolutionary. He's a bad guy too.
Yeah, he's very much in the same model as the Duke was in Escape from New York. I mean, there are bad guys who hate the government too.
Yeah.
So Snake gets marched into, I think it's the USC football field. I don't know enough about LA, and I don't give a shit.
I assumed it was the Hollywood Bowl because I've only heard it spoken of and never seen a picture of it.
No, the Hollywood Bowl is actually not like a sports arena.
Okay.
It's like a big amphitheater. So it turns out he's, instead of doing the gladiator fights, although that is implied because you initially see a bunch of people doing gladiator fights, exactly like in Escape from New York. And I think we actually see somebody swinging the same fucking barbed wire bat.
Yeah, man, so similar.
Yeah, it turns out that, for the new 90s swing, I don't know. He's got to play full court basketball against himself and make 10 points with a 10-second shot clock. And if you miss a shot, you get shot. And
I think it's a great idea for like a drill if you're a basketball coach.
Sure.
I would like to see if I could
Maybe
do
that's
it.
a thing.
Maybe it is.
I 100% could not.
No, me either.
I believe that very well could be a thing given that I know John Carpenter loves fucking basketball.
Yeah.
So Snake has 2 minutes on the clock, and oh, by the way, nobody has ever left the field alive or the court alive. Now, this is actually not an interesting thing for the movie that we see on screen. It is an interesting thing for the production of the movie. Apparently, this was shot like right at the very fucking end because for the entire 70 days of night shooting, which is a lot because this movie, as Escape from New York, takes place entirely at night. Kurt Russell spent all of his off time when he wasn't sleeping playing basketball so he could make these shots in reality.
Oh, jeez.
Which I think
just cut them together.
Which I think is why a bunch of the basketball is in slow-mo and single shots, because he actually did it.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it is impressive that he did it. Kind of like, again, Alien Resurrection, when Sigourney Weaver throws the basketball over her head from like half court.
Yeah.
And makes it. On the other hand, I don't give a shit.
Completely unnecessary. Just cut it together. Who fucking cares?
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. But it's an interesting item of trivia, not something to dedicate your life to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he wins. He beats the shot clock and makes 10 points.
And everybody starts cheering because this town loves a winner.
This town loves a winner, according to Eddie. And then Cuervo tries to shoot him anyway. But fortunately, there's an earthquake.
One of
and
many fortunately timed earthquakes.
Yeah. So he takes off. It's then Cuervo's going to go to Anaheim. Snake sort of intercepts him out in the parking lot, uses his stick matches to
he does use it for that.
blow up like an 81 Buick Riviera, I think.
Sure.
And then he hides behind a late 60s Corvair for a minute. But anyway, there's shooting. There's an explosion. He manages to get the black box and escape into the sewer with Utopia and Eddie right behind him. There's some more earthquake. And Snake leaves Utopia and Eddie after Eddie shoots him in the leg.
Drops the black box.
Drops the black box. And then at the sewer outflow, runs into, shockingly, Peter Fonda with a longboard.
Why? Because it's fucking awesome. That's why. Don't ask again.
Exactly. Peter Fonda binds his leg, mentions Hershey, I can't remember her last name, for like the 5th time in the movie. And it was at this point that I realized, oh shit, I should be tracking this because I know what that character is.
Yeah.
And then I forgot about it. And then they do skeet surfing. This is exactly like John from Cincinnati.
Yeah. I was thinking about it the whole time.
Yeah. So Steve Buscemi has been sent to recover Snake's head because he told Cuervo Jones that he shot him and he fell down and he needed to bring back his head. Doesn't matter. Not important. So Buscemi is driving along the side of Wilshire Canyon in the Cadillac, and Steve Buscemi and Peter Fonda are surfing this giant tsunami. And
terrible CGI.
It
maybe
is
the worst that's ever been done.
I have seen movies with a 10th of this budget, at less than like 100th of this budget with better special effects.
It's almost bad enough that you're like, oh, is this intentionally this way? Do they want it to look this way? Because at the end, and I'm sure this is in your notes, when Kurt Russell Snake is going to jump off onto Steve Buscemi's car, he actually has time to turn to Peter Fonda and they give each other a high five.
Yeah.
Then he jumps off and it's fucking wonderful. And also the dumbest looking thing ever.
It is very fucking bad. I mean, I have literally, and I mean this in a very real sense, the videos that Tony and I used to put together as class projects in high school, which I know you have seen.
Yeah.
Nobody else in our audience, I hope, has ever seen them.
Nope. I don't know why they would have.
We had better special effects.
Can agree.
We really did. So
better acting too. No, that's not true. Sorry.
He leaps off the surfboard and lands on the back of the Cadillac and captures Steve Buscemi. And we've got 1 hour on the timer, and he's got to get to Hershey because Hershey is the only person who can possibly stand against Steve Buscemi.
No, against
Cuervo Jones.
Fake Shay. Fake Shay.
Yeah, Shay build. Revolutionary maxing. So we go to the Queen Mary for some reason. It's just an LA landmark. Who cares? And it's Pam Grier. So the movie goes up another half star.
Yes.
It turns out that she's actually somebody that Kurt Russell knew before. In fact, in Cleveland, formerly known as Carjack Malone. She is now Hershey. I don't remember her last name, but
when I first heard the name Hershey, I'm like, is this a gender thing? And then sure enough, it was. I think they handled, for the time, it was handled pretty well, except
I was real fucking worried.
Yeah, I was biting my nails the whole time. I'm like,
yeah,
no, I mean, this is just a transgender character, and it's not played by a transgender person. It's played by a woman, but
yeah,
it's not really played for laughs.
No, it was surprisingly, I mean, not sensitive, but not.
Pam Grier plays Hershey like a transgender woman. She's like, no, my name isn't Carjack Malone anymore, which is a shame because that's a fucking amazing name.
It is a very cool name. Yeah.
And then fucking Snake insists on
naming her
the whole
over and
goddamn
over
time.
again. It is very irritating.
But also, like, Snake could probably do that. He's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, he really is. He is definitely an edgelord. So it turns out that, yeah, they knew each other, in the time before. She's like got a QAnon thing going on. Everything's a fucking conspiracy. Plutoxin 7's fake, whatever. The black box is probably also fake. Who cares? She leads the Saigon Snakes, which is this cool gang that includes like half the dudes from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
And
I recognize many of them.
Yeah, and then they decide we got to take out Cuervo, and also Snake sells them with the president has guaranteed me $1 million blue bucks to anybody who helps me, even though this is a complete fucking lie.
Yeah.
So Carjack and her gang are like, fuck yeah, we're gonna do death from above, a glider assault. So
this is when I just started laughing and couldn't stop until the movie was over.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? So they hang glide over to Anaheim. And it turns out we also see Cuervo arriving at the Happy Kingdom, which is also... Eric, you have seen this set in at least 3 films.
Okay.
Can you name them?
No.
They are all it's one series of films. I know there are probably others, but there is one series of films you have definitely seen this town square in. Any guesses?
Damn it. It is familiar. No, just...
Hint, it has a clock tower.
Oh, that would probably be Back to the Future then.
It is the town from Back to the Future.
Interesting, huh?
Because it happens to be on the Universal lot.
It is very familiar. That's funny because my first guess was going to be Gilmore Girls, which I believe is also on the Universal lot.
Yeah, it is. So the Happy Kingdom Main Street is in the downtown in the Universal lot. So then the government chopper lands. Cuervo's like going for it, and the president is informed. We cut back to Firebase 7 that an armada has left Cuba, headed for Florida. And this is a major crisis point because the third world is going to invade. And, as you know, those are filthy people, probably Catholics.
Yeah. President has to go pray.
And he has to go to his quarters. He's got to pray!
So realistic.
Yeah, they do. The good guys, and I use this term advisedly, they send Eddie down to distract Cuervo on his hang glider.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, I made it. And tries to distract Cuervo and swaps the remote control, or tries to, but he gets caught partway through. And then there's like Death from Above, where all these fucking, I don't know, Snake and Carjack or Hershey and all the Saigon Snakes are like doing Death from Above and machine gunning people.
Oh, it's so stupid. They could so easily be shot out of the air.
They're so slow.
This should be ended immediately, and they're all just dead, dropping out of the sky. But
yeah,
it's a movie.
It doesn't matter. So Cuervo and Snake have a fist fight. Snake gets the remote and his coat back.
Yeah,
which had been taken when he got captured earlier. And it was a big fight, lots of guns. It doesn't matter.
Kind of boring.
Eddie, Snake, Hershey, her dudes, and Utopia get into the chopper to escape. A dude ties it down to, like, one of the bad guys ties it down. Cuervo has a rocket launcher. He's about to shoot the chopper down. Eddie shoots him.
Very proud of
right
himself.
In the chest. Yeah, he did a good job. But then the rocket fires anyway. And he bails just as the chopper is hit and catches fire and bounces off of fucking Magic Mountain. And everybody in the chopper...
Happy Mountain, Josh. Happy Mountain.
Yeah, yes, that. With the exception of Snake and Utopia, everybody in the chopper dies. It's just like full of fire.
Is that what happened? Because Hershey and all the gang members just disappeared.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what the fuck happened. Like, Hershey was too cool to just kill off screen.
Either they bailed out or they died.
I'm hoping they
Doesn't
bailed
matter.
out.
Yeah. So they fly north, and like the government's tracking this chopper, and Snake's on the radio. And there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the timer, and Snake steers it way over the landing pad at the base and kicks Rayanne out, or Utopia, into the woods, and sticks a remote in her pocket just as the chopper crashes, and he says, like, go, you know.
Because she's the only moral, like truly moral character we've come across.
Like it. Yeah. Troops are like, the chopper crashes, it's all fire and shit. You never see Snake get out. But then troops arrive and Snake limps out of the wreckage. And he's like, give me the fucking cure. I got the remote. And it turns out the whole virus was a trick, like Hershey said it was.
Yeah.
It was just a fast-acting flu virus. And the troops have captured Rayanne, or
Snake
Utopia.
wasn't smart enough to figure out when they lied to him 15 times about being holograms and all other shit that would be a lie as well. Plus, they're the government.
Yeah. So the troops capture Utopia. The president's going to have her killed off screen in an electrical chair. Stacy Keach takes the remote off of her. And then the president has a little press conference. And we have some like really good lines. Like, one of the problems with this movie, as I mentioned in text earlier today, is that the really great lines that normally I would end the show with all come from 5 minutes before the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it sort of seems like cheating.
I think it counts.
Yeah. So we got a really good conversation between Stacy Keach and Snake, which I'll just go ahead and call my shot now. We're going to have at the end. That's what we're going to say at the end of the episode. I'll help you out. So basically, the Cubans are going to be hitting Miami in 4 fucking minutes. And the president's like, Snake's just there watching the president give this press conference. And the president's like, we're going to do a final solution to the, like, literally says final solution. Yeah. So it's not like John Carpenter is being.
No, there's no subtlety here.
Yeah. Basically a final solution for the third world. He is going to take out this armada and all of the third world's power with this super cool fucking garage door opener. And he enters the codes and shit. And it turns out it's Eddie's fucking map from earlier. And he's getting directions to go to like Lucille Ball's house.
Yeah.
Or the Sharon Tate house or something. And then the president says, he's tricked us. Shoot him. So all the troops turn and they shoot Snake. And they do. And it turns out he's the fucking hologram. He tricked him just like they tricked him.
OMG. Oh, God damn it. That reminds me, I have to track back and say one thing that I noticed. The basketball scene right before that, when they're like showing the normal prisoner guy who fails, when they execute him, all the gunmen are lined up in a 360-degree circle shooting at this guy in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I have also noticed that.
And they did that here too. It was more of a half circle, but they're just blowing each other away.
Directly shooting at each other. Yeah.
It's just like, how do you not notice that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So then it turns out that Snake has the actual remote. So this whole this whole last 10 minutes has been a fucking trick. So
yeah, it's like a double cross within a double cross within a double cross. What remote did he give to the girl? Why did he do that? I don't know. They knew she'd be captured.
Because she knew she'd be captured. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? So he's got the remote, and both the president and Stacy Keach are like, look, it's us or them. And Snake's like, I give you the remote, the third world dies. I give the third world remote, you die. But there's a third option. And he enters 666, the fucking world code.
I would enter 80085.
Oh, shit, yeah. What's that shoot?
I don't know, but it's got to be cool.
And Snake is like, fuck the world, baby.
Yeah.
We see some very good, very high quality CGI of satellites firing. And all of the power in the world goes off. Utopia is saved. She was just about to be electrocuted.
Yep. No more juice for the electric chair. There's definitely no way she'll be executed.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's the only way to execute a person.
Yep.
It's the only way people die. So then the world goes dark. The hologram disappears. Snake's like a mile off in the woods. He finds a pack of American spirits that the gangbanger had left in his coat. Lights a cigarette. Looks right down the fucking barrel of the camera.
It's got to be 2 inches from his face, too.
Oh, right down the goddamn barrel. I mean, it's just the most... I am addressing the audience this side of The Office.
You can see the full 9-inch diameter of his jawline.
And then screen goes black, and he says, "Welcome to the human race." And then the movie's over. Credits, white zombie.
I like all good movies.
And it is a terrible film, but it's also really entertaining and dumb.
Yeah. There's just no denying that it is not very fun to watch, even as you're baffled the whole fucking time.
Yeah. And even though momentarily you're like, this is hilarious fun, it doesn't add up to hilarious fun.
No. What a ride.
Yeah, it really is. I'm looking forward to if we do this as a Patreon watch along.
Yeah.
Because
try to.
There's a lot to dig into.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. I think we need to definitely try to get that in before you leave. So,
I believe one of my recollections is that this movie, along with the I think next Kurt Russell movie, is in the string of films like any sci-fi film used More Human Than Human by White Zombie in the trailer.
Well, I mean, it's like the most cyberpunk song.
Yeah, there were about 25 fucking movies that used that song in the trailer between 1995 and 1999.
Maybe we should do that White Zombie album next week.
Honestly, God, we should do that White Zombie album at some point.
We should maybe midsummer. Listen to it while you're.
That's a good idea. I can do that. Yeah.
All right.
Las Exorcisto.
I think More Human Than Human came after came on the next one. White Zombie
I think you're
discography.
right. Yeah, Astro Creep 2000.
Astro Creep 2000.
Yes,
1995. Yeah. Don't know if it's cyberpunk. It's close enough.
Close enough. Hey, look, man, we are doing this fucking show by the seat of our goddamn pants.
Yeah.
And some people seem to like it.
Yeah, we're on a little upswing right now.
Yeah.
By the way, we are putting together. I'm going to have downtime, so I'm going to be doing some weird YouTube shit. I might stream some cyberpunk video games, and I'm definitely going to try to put together a high-tech, low-life podcast. Not podcast. That's what we're doing now.
Yeah, that is exactly what we're doing.
High-tech, low-life playlist. It's just talking about the songs we've mentioned on the show and, cyberpunk songs in general. So, fucking More Human Than Human might be track 1.
That seems like a good one because it both directly ties into like one of the primary works of cyberpunk, and also thematically kind of it ties into the entire late 90s and through 2008.
Yeah, it's good shit. All right, we got to rate this thing and then get out the door. So
yes,
it's EFN. Nope, LA. Story. Well, what did we give Escape from New York?
That's a good question. And do we give it the exact same rating because it's exactly the same, or do we get half of that rating because it's a complete ripoff?
I feel like it should get half because it's a complete ripoff.
I agree.
We gave it an 8 before, so I think 4 is very fair.
Yeah.
Influence. Escape from New York has
huge influence. This movie, I think, just influenced people to choose different CGI studios.
Right. Yeah, I can't think of any reason this should have much of an influence score other than that it's tied to a hugely influential prequel.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with 2.
Yeah, I think that's as good as it's going to get.
Now, prescience.
This is where it actually gets... This is where it actually gets sticky.
We gave Escape from New York a 7 and a 7.5. I think this is higher than that.
It really is, because, I mean, partially because it's 15 years sooner or more recent.
Yeah.
So our current trends were closer, but it really fucking nailed the Christian right angle so hard. Like, all it needed was somebody with one of those fucking side shaved haircuts and a tiki torch.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, shit. I'm gonna go 8. I think 9 seems a little too.
Yeah, I think we're in full agreement on this. 8 seems very good. Like, as far as I know, we don't have poorly CG'd stealth subs,
unfortunately.
And of course, Peter Fonda is dead, so R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Peter Fonda. Style, well, as all John Carpenter things, that's going to be high.
Yeah.
I think I'll go 7.5. No, I'm gonna go 8. I like it. I like the dystopian.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, like, there's a bunch of real cool shit, and it does have that sexy dressing up scene.
It's got all the classic cars.
Yeah, that's true. That fucking 59 Caddy and Steve Buscemi in his shiny mid-90s suit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 8.
Fuck it.
I think we are on exactly the same page.
I think we are. We don't usually have our numbers match this perfectly.
No.
As far as hand raisers, man,
this is the most impossible one to rate.
It is so hard.
I want to give it 1, but I also want to give it like 4.5.
I know. I think I'm going to shoot it down the middle and say
2.5,
2.5.
Yeah.
I mean, that even seems low, honestly, but because I really had a good time with it, and my wife and I were laughing the whole time and making fun of it. But it's so garbage too.
When you compare it, like, if it was just a standalone thing, it would be like a 4.
Yeah,
easily. But
if it didn't have the CGI, that would bump it up.
Yeah, but when you compare it to Escape from New York, I mean, the existence of Escape from New York inherently influences this film and makes it seem lesser.
It does, absolutely. All right, that's our ratings. Next week we decided on the break we're going to do Lawnmower Man. We did it on the fly. You'll never know what we'd originally had planned. It's a secret to everyone.
Yeah. It is available on, I don't remember, Funko Pops or some shit. I don't know. Do a search. You'll find it.
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. It's on like fucking Amazon and fucking Tubi, Mubi. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Quibi?
Fandango, I think, had it. It's on a bunch of the really cheap ones that you never use because they're just inundated with terrible ads.
Or like the things available through your library. Canopy.
Sure. It's out there. Watch Lawnmower Man with us.
Yeah. Pierce Brosnan and what is the main dude? What is his name? Jeff Fahey.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Jeff Fahey. The title is based on a Stephen King story.
It's funny because we usually like to go to long breaks with like a good, important
Something
one.
Good. Yeah.
Not this time. Fuck you.
Nope. I got shit to do. And me and Eric got a baseball game to go to.
Yeah, that's true. It really did fuck with our schedule.
It really, honestly, didn't help anything.
All right. This has been fun. Check us out. Our Patreon, patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Follow us on YouTube if you haven't. I like seeing the YouTube comments come in, and the more followers we have, the more it gets pushed out, I think.
Yeah.
And like I said, over the summer, I'm hopefully going to do some shorts and pull some old highlights and stuff. Maybe it'll be fun.
Maybe we'll get some more of that playlist put together.
Yeah. And Twitter, Johnny 60 Seconds. Blue Sky's been blowing up. We've been having a lot of good talks on Blue Sky. So
if you want to know from our last week's episode the difference between a mystery and a thriller, there's an explanation on there.
Yeah, there was some anger that I cut Josh off before he explained that. So it's been expanded on the Blue Sky.
Yeah, and I will note, I do not blame Eric. His reasoning is sound. I jabber on about bullshit, and we got to push the real content out.
We're at 2 hours for this one, so
yeah. Check your messages so we can close it.
Yeah, I've checked my messages. I'm ready.
Okay.
So do I start off?
Yes, you start off.
All right. So this is our final quote. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week. as we close, got a smoke?
The United States is a no-smoking nation. No smoking, no drinking, no drugs, no women. Unless, of course, you're married. No guns, no foul language, no red meat.
Land of the free.
And that's us. Bye!
This has been the High Tech Low Life podcast. Find us on Twitter at Johnny60seconds, email us at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com, and find us on Patreon at patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Theme music by Nihilor at nihilor.com. Thank you for listening.
Keep it moving. Come on, what are you waiting on? Let's go.
They're trashing our rights, man! They're trashing the fluid data! They're trashing! Everybody, hide the planet! Hide the planet!
Shut up and get in the car.